What are some design mistakes according to you that new developers tend to make?
Ensuring that areas are not wasted in passages, unnecessary creating amenities which are never going to be used.
I feel now it's become like a loose word to use is luxury. Everybody talks about luxury, spacious, luxury. No builder will say कि मेरा apartment luxurious नहीं है.
I think a word which has been used,
Abused almost.
Yeah. I would say
Literally.
abused. Like the meaning of luxury is no more luxury now. Lift से बाहर आ गया.
8 flats per floor.
8 flats per floor.
Luxury.
and वो luxury दे रहा तो ये what sense actually?
I think Mumbai rains are absolutely beautiful, but as beautiful as they are, they can also be deadly and dangerous because flooding does happen in Mumbai.
Yeah, Mumbai was a city which had population and later it was planned. And I think the BMC and the government authorities are really doing great job now, okay? And especially they have shown their strength now by creating the coastal highway, by creating the aqua lines, that they are definitely now going to use a lot of technology.
Right.
And they are going to create huge wonders below the ground. Inception of this SRA, Balasaheb Thackeray was the one who actually came up with the concept.
Right, visionary leader. I mean,
Visionary leader.
But do societies also tell you ki give us this amenity, this kind of tile, this kind of where do the demands start getting unrealistic according to you? Hi guys, I'm super excited for this episode of the Real Estate Show with Mayank because today I have with me an architect turned developer, all right, Mr. Shantanoo Rane, a very, very renowned architect, and now he's become a renowned developer as well, the chairman of Roosevelt Realty. They've completed about 30 lakh square foot just in 5 years, and here's a fun fact. All of these projects were delivered 6 months to at least 1 year before the RERA deadline, which is for me the most important thing. All right. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. Mr. Shantanoo, super excited to learn a lot of things from you today. And any viewer who is a home buyer can learn a lot about design from this. Any architect wanting to get into developing can learn a lot from this today. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you, because I think I've been seeing your wonderful postcards, and you're becoming like a star in our industry.
No, it's just all because of guests. I just have to steer conversations. It's eventually what the guest has to say and share his experience. Just got us, a little bit something for you. This is a book that I've written.
Oh wow!
Last year.
Fantastic.
And just
how to buy a scam free home. Fantastic. What a line. That's so sweet of you. My God.
I know you're very, very fit. This might gain some calories for you, but I'm sure you'll burn the calories off.
Oh, no. Thank you so much. Really sweet of you. That's really, really sweet of you. Thank you so much. Great. So, I first of all would like to thank you to, allow Roosevelt to be seen and heard through your vision and through your channel.
Pleasure is all mine. We love doing this and getting bright minds, to share their experiences with us. So, pleasure's all mine. Right?
Great.
Mr. Shantanoo, you've been an architect all your life, right?
Yes.
And you've then kind of become a developer.
Yeah.
All right. So, can you just walk us through that journey? How did that happen, right? Because you're one of those, I would say, developers who understand design theoretically as well.
True.
Right? And then what made you jump from being an architect to a developer? Just please walk us through your journey a bit.
Yeah, sure. So basically, I would answer this question with a single liner. That the only reason my transition happened from a practicing architect to a developer is passion to create great homes, passion again to create structures which really uplift the skyline of this city. Whom we all love. Right. And third, again, is passion to create an organization which is dependable. Right. Because while my practice as an architect, what I really understood is that somewhere real estate is seen as a very stigma kind of profession. People feel that a developer is somebody, who's first of all seen as a very powerful man, a don kind of thing, and whom you have to pay money, but you're not to be sure and you can't ask him questions,
Correct.
So that uncertainty was something which was like, so evident in my practice when I used to meet my clients who are developers,
Right.
And I quite a lot used to connect with the psychology of a home buyer, when I used to sit in the meetings where my developers clients were there,
Right.
And it used to be a thin kind of fiber which used to always disturb me, that why can't this profession be cleaned up, why
Right.
can't this profession be as nice and gracious like a doctor's profession,
Right.
who are saviors of life? Because if you see, we are also into a profession where we are creating homes for you, right?
Absolutely.
So why can't this sophistication come in this profession, And that was one of the biggest reason I felt, during my practice as an architect, that if professionals come into these professions, then definitely the taint right now which is there of a real estate developer, that kind of, powerful man whom you can't ask question type,
Who
will
everyone is scared of.
Absolutely. Will slowly and steadily start fading, And I think in our journey as Roosevelt, we have ensured that, that culture and that image is projected not only by words, but by the kind of acts and the kind of, systems we have created.
Right.
Like home buyers whom we sell our product to, we give them an app in which after they register flats with us, they have a proper redressal kind of the app, where they can put their queries, they can ask about the progress of the work, And the minute this kind of transparency starts coming into this profession, I feel real estate also very soon, with this kind of thought process, become a profession which people will start respecting.
Right.
And I think the passion to create something like this, made me actually get into my transition of an architect to a developer. Okay.
Right.
Also, a lot of times, the creative, I would say, the creative bug which was there in me,
Right.
Obviously, the developer being the boss of the project,
That's a
मेरा
very
वो
good
creative my passion was
free flow.
I could not free flow, and it was obviously right, because the developer had their own constraints regarding the finances,
Right.
how much they could spend,
Right.
and not necessarily my creative tantrum could be taken by them,
Right,
because
right, right.
eventually they look at how the project is going to be feasible,
Right.
Whereas I, being an architect, a passionate kind of designer, I always used to wonder, यार मुझे क्यों नहीं करने दे रहा, I want to use a Satvario in the lobby, यार
Paisi.
क्या फर्क पड़ेगा,
हाँ,
ना 1
correct.
करोड़ जाएगा यार,
Correct,
but then
correct.
obviously later I understood over a period of my practice that the developer has their own mindset, the feasibilities are there, they have their own challenges, but eventually, trust me, Mayank, I'm so happy at this point of my time and my career phase that I have the liberty to take these calls myself.
Right.
You'll be very surprised. Let me just tell you one small incident that we just got a OC of one of our project. We are going to get in June, and the ground floor retail area which was there was sold at a very good price.
Right.
A price which I could not have imagined, but my sales team really did well. And just to meet the person whom we had sold, I personally wanted to meet him. And to give him the keys.
Right.
So when I went to the site, I saw that the client came in and he was really appreciating the product. And when I looked at the product, I was happy with the product, but somewhere I felt that there was a particular patch where I wanted to put a element,
Right.
Now just imagine the product is sold.
Right.
The client is happy with the product. But do you know what I did? I directly came back to the architects team of mine. I asked them that I didn't like the way the top thing is looking like, let's break it and let's change it. It costed us quite a amount,
Right. How much, if you don't mind me asking, how much?
So
did
it costed
you?
us exactly 1.32 crore.
My God.
Yeah.
So that after the sale has been
after
done.
the sale has been done, the OC has come, okay. And when I went to give the keys, I felt that, oh my God, this element would look beautiful here, But I didn't stop.
See, that is the artistic
Exactly.
person in you doing that.
Exactly.
I think as a pure developer, I wouldn't have happened.
See, no developer of mine would have ever allowed me doing that, There was a great
Impossible.
chance that he would not have appointed me for the next project,
Yeah,
he would have
pura
said
feasibility बिगाड़ दिया.
बिगाड़ दिया, yeah. But imagine, see, when you're in a space where your priority is your passion, it's
Right.
not always driven by the finances.
Right.
Okay, of course, you have to be very vigilant with the finance,
Right.
But it's like, when you have a successful project in real estate, our margins are quite decent, We
Right.
can take calls like these.
Right.
And I think over a period of time, people will start knowing us for this. because I'm sure the client, who got it, and when he sees that top-up element, he's going to feel it, right?
Right.
Forget he going and talking to people.
Right.
But the very fact that he feels it is definitely going to give us that vibe of karma, which I really believe in, and I think that has been the journey of Roosevelt. And I think the biggest reason for my transition, to answer your question, is that being a developer has now allowed me to break the barriers of only finance, but to create great homes, great buildings. And as I told you, that a brand on whom people can trust.
Right.
I want to clean this image of
the
per se a developer.
gundagardi
The
image.
gundagardi, yeah.
Correct.
So I always say that, I ask people that when you're unwell, whom do you go to? You go to a doctor, right?
Right.
Okay. If you want to grow a vegetable, you would ideally go to a farmer, right? So I always feel that, when you have to create homes, when you have to create beautiful spaces, the profession, like architects, engineers, they have to now get active. They have to get on the top positions.
Right.
They have to be in the decisive authority. They can't be just one of the person in the team. They have to be the decision makers,
Right.
And if you see, that's why you see all our projects, I will very, very strongly tell you that whoever gets into the look and the feel of our project, all our projects are beautiful projects.
Right.
And that is where the difference.
I mean, you've delivered all before time, right? So I think there's something that you're definitely doing right? With managing people, with getting all your approvals on time. I'm sure there's lots you're doing right to deliver things on time. And I think that's one of the key. Every builder does that. Say 100 out of 100 builders, if they were to deliver projects before time, then slowly and steadily that, that image, that gundagardi, intimidating image of developers will go away. I think that delivery is a key thing, because a lot of customers today, a lot of them get possessions delayed. And then they get scared. Builders are not approachable, right? Many builders are not approachable. They have enough stress in their life. So I think all of that combined with, not getting possession on time, clients start feeling animosity towards developers and real estate altogether.
You're absolutely right. And see, they have all the reasons in the world to have that feeling. Imagine when a person buys a home, it's not a small commodity you're going and buying. It's about
most expensive.
It's about the most expensive thing you're shopping.
Right.
And to create that kind of finance,
right?
If he's a working person, if he's a small businessman, it is hard-earned money.
Right.
And you're giving that hard-earned money to a person whom you don't know, you've never met, you only seen in ads, okay, and you have a little bit knowledge about the track record.
Right.
So I feel it is very important for developers to have a huge sensitive element in them.
Right.
And I very, very strongly feel that it's a clear-cut instruction to my salespeople that, whoever is coming to us, please understand his sentiments. Please understand his responsibility which he's giving to us. And the minute you start feeling responsible about their trust,
right,
that is where the magic happens. So Mayank, let me tell you that when I decided to transit from an architect to developer, initially we started with a very humble, small project of 10,000 square feet. And when we started that, obviously my team was small. Okay, but I am very meticulous about the way I get into anything.
Right.
So normally I'm an early riser. I get up at 4 o'clock.
Wow.
So from 4 to 6 o'clock, I do my think on paper, and
Right.
my entire strategy starts there. So when I was doing this project of 10,000 square feet, I had spent a lot of time for creating the system of the organization which I wanted to create. Because, I could see very well that today it's 10,000. And once I get into this journey, it was definitely going to grow. And when we grow, I did not want to get into a space where, most of the times you see that the projects are stuck. And I would give you a very important piece of information, which I have seen through my journey as an architect with so many developers, that not always projects are stuck because of finances. They are stuck because of overexposure of projects, which the developer is not ready with the systems and is not able to duplicate it.
Right.
because he has these couple of people who are good, who can cater to only one site, whereas the developer, because of the success which he got in the first project, has
Right.
already launched 4 projects.
Right.
So I could very clearly understand that what is lacking here is a system-based organization. Imagine a McDonald's.
Correct.
McDonald's has been a group which has been so inspiring,
Right.
A McDonald's burger just doesn't go
Systems,
wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's
tastes
all
the
about
same
systems.
every time.
Yeah. So when I got this transition mode, I was almost having around 82 projects as an architect. So it took me almost a year time to, get out of that space.
Right.
But I did take that call for a simple reason that I wanted to grab all that time and not only do that 10,000 square feet project. But while I was doing that, those 2 years, I remember every day I used to get up at 4 o'clock and create backend systems, because I was looking at a company which would be a system-based company, so that finance, teams, multiplication has a model. And once that model was set, I knew that it was very easy for us then to duplicate.
Right.
So just to give you the fact of how it was a successful model is that after that 10,000 square feet project which we did, the next project we did was 1 lakh square feet.
That's 10x.
10x. And the one which we did after that was 10 lakh square feet.
10x again.
Absolutely. And that gave me tremendous confidence on that mold of system which I created.
You replicate that system.
Absolutely. So it was very clear to me that expansion will only be done when I'm confident about the systems. And I'm so happy and so proud to tell you today that today the kind of exposure we have taken, in that entire exposure, each and every department, right from acquisition, construction, licensing, and sales, everything is under autopilot. So for us, a new project is not a challenge in any which ways, for a simple reason, because each and every product is like a typical prototype product for us, which we put in our engine, and the engine has to come out with an OC and a timely project.
Right.
And that's the reason why what you have understood and seen through our documentation, that the entire lap of 30 lakh which we completed has been completed 6 months or 1 year before.
Because of following systems.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think mismanagement is a very
Yes.
big reason for.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, can you talk about the difference, over the last 3 decades, right? You've been designing buildings for builders, and now you are a builder yourself, right? What is the difference between being an architect and a developer, right? What were some of the things that you didn't care about earlier when you were an architect, and now you care about them as a developer?
Right. So I would flip the question in a little other way around, because I feel that I was more concerned about what the developer is going to do, and I'm less concerned now because I know what I'm going to do now.
Right.
So the reason I'm
full control.
Yes. In fact, this was one reason why this transition happened. That, as I told you, that sometimes I used to feel that if a particular space which is bought at such a costly price, if it is divided into habitable spaces, which is your living room, bedroom, and kitchen, and the area which goes in passage is not given, that would save the usable area of the customer. Right. So when this thought process starts getting into your mind, you actually start sincerely thinking towards the benefit of your customer. Okay, imagine in a city of Mumbai, where the price point has gone to almost 40,000, 50,000 rupees per square feet.
Absolutely.
People are only aware of 2 things. What is your built-up area and what is your era area.
Right.
But nobody here talks about passages which are a part of the design, which are absolutely going waste.
Absolutely.
And as an architect, I used to, get into thoughts like these, that, why are we not getting into designs like this? But again, the question was of FSI. So developer had their own issues, and see, again I'll always will not be negative towards their approach, because they had their own thought process and own financial calculations.
Right.
But when me as an architect starts approaching this situation, I always feel that if a little bit of deeper thought is going to give in this,
Right.
you can achieve both. You can consume great FSI, at the same time being sensitive about not wasting areas into passages.
Right.
Also can be given to the clients. So if you see, I strongly feel that a little bit of understanding, and again, as I said, sensitivity towards the client's requirement and his
Right.
benefit is what can come out with a golden product for you as a
Right. So
developer.
designing is very, very critical.
Very critical.
And you're right, because sometimes I've seen flats, apartments that are 1,000 carpet square feet,
Yes.
right? Carpet, right?
Yeah.
1,000 square feet. But they tend to look smaller than a 900 or 920 kind of square foot carpet. Because maybe they're poorly designed, a lot of wastage in the passage, or it's just weird layouts.
Absolutely, you're so right, and I'm so happy, Mayank, that you've been observing these things. We recently launched one project called Zion.
Right.
Yeah, it's on SV Road in Oshura.
Right.
Now there we have launched the carpet area is 2,000 square feet.
That's huge.
You will be surprised that in this entire layout of 2,000 square feet, there is zero passage, and that entire space we saved in the passage, we have pushed that into either habitable rooms or a beautiful balcony which is 9 feet by 15 feet. Now imagine when you put your mind in design, which has to be the core, right? Which has to be the core. See, approvals, finances, all are important, no doubt about it. But eventually all these efforts which are done are purely done to create this product.
Right.
And if your product is not designed to this depth, it's going to be like, you've actually worked for something which was not that amazing. Okay. So I think that if these kind of things are taken care, all the hard work which you do, all the running around which you do to create the product, actually then becomes a multiple value product then. Okay. So regarding the project which Zion I told you about, people get extremely happy that boss, the living room I have has a width of 16 feet. Now
Right.
who gives 16 feet width?
Yeah, that's big.
Normally it's a 12 feet width, and
That's big.
people have to be happy with that, right? Now each of our bedroom is a master bedroom.
Right.
If a person is buying a 4 BHK, you
So
rather
washrooms are always
all washrooms will always have a bathroom attached, plus there's a powder room extra. But the only reason we are able to do this is again because we are putting the right spaces at the right place.
right.
Okay, so that's where the difference comes in. So I think the consciousness of the developer and detail focus on design will make a product from a normal product to an absolutely A1, A-class product.
Right. And I think then you can also charge more per square foot as well compared to your competition, because today I've seen that, people they don't mind spending that extra 10% if the product is generally 50% better than the surroundings. So I think it's about time that I feel like developers should stop making cookie cutter, things where it's only FSI. The Excel sheet should look good, but the design sense, that soul is lost.
Absolutely.
And obviously you will feel that more than me because you're a design guy. You were originally a architect, right?
Exactly.
Now I just wanted to understand, how has your job profile changed? Like when you were an architect, right? You said you had about 80 odd projects, right? You were thinking from a different perspective to now, right? As a developer, right? Heading Rosewald. What are the key things that you do, say on a daily basis? What did you care about when you were an architect? Ki ye mera task hai, this should get completed today versus today. So how has that changed?
So it's a fantastic question. So just think that development is like an orchestra. In an orchestra, previously when I was an architect, I was maybe a drum player, and I was being coordinated by a synchronizer. You know the music.
So now
conductor.
you're the conductor.
I am the conductor now. Okay, and
Well put.
Yes, and when I had spent these 2 years, which I told you, for the first project and the call time I created in my systems, I was doing nothing, but I was creating this orchestra.
Right.
So that when I stand as a conductor, the music which comes out is absolutely coordinated by me.
Right.
And it's a fine music which comes out.
It's a very interesting, good example, and I've totally understood, what you mean.
Yeah. One thing I would like to strongly say here, that like in an orchestra, the synchronizer also has one topic or the one instrument which is his favorite. Some people have piano as favorite.
Right.
Some have, maybe a drum as favorite. And when they compose the music, they ensure that the music is more dominated by that particular instrument. So in my case, as a conductor, design is that one instrument which I focus on. Absolutely.
Right.
And a small example to this is that uh, all the projects which we do, when you talk about competitors, we never ever get into any kind of competition. Our competition is only our product which we have launched before the current product.
Right.
So the only thing is about improvising our product, taking it to a different level, making it more user friendly, more user affordable, and more classier.
Right.
Okay, so as your question, coming back to your question, I think I was more of a drum player, and now I'm a
Now
conductor.
you're a conductor, right? Managing everything and
Managing
managing
everything.
everything.
Yeah.
And understanding all those instruments by the ear as well, right? As a
Absolutely,
conductor.
absolutely, and that's why the music comes out fine.
Right,
That's why the
right,
music comes out fine.
right.
And the best thing is that I can, with my vision, will now tell the finance that don't worry, let me spend this 1.5 crore, but let me put that emblem there because it's going to look good.
Right. Now, tell me one thing. As an architect, how would one, choose? How do you select your next project? How do you redevelopments are the thing in Bombay? There's no land only, so everything's getting redeveloped. How do you select a society that okay, let's get into this, let's redevelop this? Is it only feasibility reports? Because at, at least for the societies, you have to see what FSI is unused, how the society members are, how much area they want, right? Obviously, that due process will happen, the tender went and all of that. But how do you decide कि let's apply to this society, right? ये मेरे को अच्छा opportunity लग रहा है. What is the thought process behind that? Do you also see like the shape of the land the society is built on? What all goes in your mind?
So, so Mumbai is a city which all of us know has very limited land bank.
Right.
So to be very frank, as a developer, it's very difficult for us to keep on being too choosy about the land parcel or the locations.
Yeah.
It's all about a good opportunity.
Right.
Personally, for me, if you ask me, I always like to maybe take projects where the product can be seen. Again, coming back to that creative space of mine, that normally when a painter paints a painting, he wants a painting to be seen by people.
Right.
So that's one thing which is obviously on the wish list. But at the same time, that doesn't deprive us from doing buildings which basically are not maybe seen from the coastal road or the highways.
Right.
It's more about, I think, the speed at which and the intensity or the honesty of the people who want to be redeveloping it. At a lot of
Right.
times what happens is that in redevelopment societies also, we being clean ourselves, sometimes the approach of the society or the people who are the decision making authority of that, have so much of their own interest, that sometimes, I've taken calls wherein I feel that, if I'm not able to give justice to the rest of the people who are going to stay in the society, then I rather back out from this product, So I would say that good people who want good homes, good buildings are what we choose.
Right.
And we like to give them full justice.
Right. Now, you see Bombay is super congested, right? Financial capital,
True.
surrounded by water on all three sides, barely any land, super congested. What are the practical challenges of constructing in, super congested areas like Dadar and Andheri, for example? What all goes in that?
So, see, definitely when you're working in an urban city, which, so let me put it this way. There are two types of developments which happen.
Right.
One, a planned development, and then the population comes in.
Right.
Or the second way is that the population is already there, and then you're planning on that.
Right.
Now, Mumbai is the second case.
Right.
Which we all know, right? Mumbai was a 7-island city.
Which
it got reclaimed.
Yes.
The reclamation was at a lesser speed, but the population coming in was at a faster speed.
Migration is so...
Yeah. So I would give it 100% to the authorities because they are trying to cope up with this kind of growing population. And I think in the recent last 5 years, I think, with the new governments which we have seen,
Right.
I think they are doing fantastic job. Imagine a project like Coastal Road. Imagine a project like Metro, which I think 5 years back would have been just a...
Mumbai is changing. Definitely
Absolutely.
changing.
So I think we have to give it to the government, the way they are working on it. And I strongly feel that as developer, it is our responsibility now that along with the government, we have to stand strong with them and ensure that it's not only about till your compound, it's beyond your compound. So I have been always very conscious that whenever we create our projects, we sponsor the entire plantation which is there as a divider in between the roads.
Right.
Because, that is somewhere I feel that, we can participate with the development of the city.
Making it look... Yes.
Absolutely. So when my briefing goes to the design architects, we don't tell them only to develop till our compound.
Right.
It's the pathway which goes ahead, the road which is in front, and also the mid dividers which are there. Those also we design. So if you visit maybe our project called
the entire
Zedan,
journey and the person feels good.
Absolutely. So if you see our product in Zedan, which is on SV Road,
yes.
You please go and see the road there.
Right.
You will see nice kind of lighting there. On the roads I'm talking about.
Sense of arrival also needs to be good.
Absolutely. So
not just inside the compound.
So it's not so everything and anything which goes inside the compound is not only your responsibility.
Right.
Everything which is in and around is your responsibility. And we are trying our best to do whatever we can.
Right.
And that's what I feel that if government is doing so much, it's time that we as developer also get our conscience a little higher and try to develop the areas also which are around us.
Right.
And I think slowly and steadily, I think this mindset will sneak into everybody, because eventually when these areas start developing nicely, that is the time where home buyers also feel the product to be more luring. They love to be a part of that. Now, very recently we have launched a new project in Chembur called Raya. Now you'll be surprised, Mayank, that the road in front of that is 36-meter road.
Okay.
Now, it was going to take own time maybe for the authority to create it.
Right.
We have spent.
Okay, no way.
We have created that tar road, and we have ensured that, the road is now 36-meter wide. So suddenly people have started realizing, wow, this can be a game changer here,
It's huge.
Now, we went one step ahead. After creating the road, since it was created through our personal funds, obviously we could not create dividers and all. So we painted the road. And the paints have been so good that every Sunday we call the locals, to play there as a play street.
Oh.
So it's such a small thing, but the entire flora and fauna of that place has changed because of the plantations we've done.
Correct.
Because of the paintings we have done on the road, it looks like a road from Spain, which is painted. On Sunday kids come there, so that energy is different now. So
these things go such a long way, actually.
Absolutely. So at Roosevelt we keep on doing this. We keep on thinking that how can we make the product good? How can we create life here? How can we create a good surrounding?
Right.
And I think that is where the game changes.
Right.
So, and that is the reason why we have been able to create so much of, sales and reference sales also.
Mm-hmm.
And these things, I don't believe that these are the things which reduce the profits of the project. I think these are the things which increase the profit of the project. And I would definitely like to tell all my colleagues who are new into the businesses, who have creative minds, that the more you give to the product to escalate it, to escalate the surroundings of it, it's only and only going to escalate you in every aspect. Escalate as a brand, escalate as social entity, and I'm sure the figures also are going to look good.
Right. Plus, once you build that brand, you can also charge a premium. People know what I'm going to expect from this developer. It's only going to be class.
I totally agree
right?
to that.
And
I totally agree.
I mean, definitely, I would want to be, see, what people, I feel is that if you're anyway spending crores in Bombay, I think 3-4 crores is average now. It's not even. You're anyway spending such a big amount on a home. I think people wouldn't mind. Agar koi banda 4 crore kharch kar raha hai, I don't think they'll mind spending 4.5 crores to go with that exact thing that they want.
I totally agree.
Rather than losing the 4 crores, you gain with the 4.5 crores. I think that's how I would think for sure.
And I think, see, eventually just understand, Mayank, we are going to buy a home. When this is a thought which comes in a person's mind, we as Indians have always been big fans of 3 things, which is roti, kapda, makan.
Right.
Okay. And these are 3 things which give us security.
Right.
And if that security can be taken to a little higher level of, connecting you to a happy space by increasing and elevating elements like this.
Yeah.
ये तो सोने पे सुहागा हो गया.
Absolutely.
So and it is again, as I tell you, it's all about just a little bit of deep thought towards the design board.
Right. And we've anyway seen design evolve over the last 20-30 years. Earlier, like I can give example of like my parents and grandparents. The way they used to keep things in the house was only for practical purposes. It should not look good. Now with new aesthetic sense coming in, both binding practicality and looks.
Yes.
Like पहले अगर आप घर जाके देखते थे ऊपर पतरा लोग डाल देते थे. Like
Yes.
it looks so bad. So I think
True.
now products are going to get disrupted. There'll be a lot of more designers in the country. So
Yes.
very exciting times for real estate, I feel.
Actually, and there's one more thing which suddenly popped up when you were talking on this, that there's a story to this. I think it's interesting, which I should share.
Please.
So I won't quote the product which we made because it could maybe won't be the right thing to do. So we completed one project in which I had got the entire road and the space between the road and the compound. We created a beautiful flora and fauna. Really, really beautiful, and I remember going to Dapoli to buy those plants, because I wanted that kind of plants to be there, on that road. And later, after the OC, once the building is handed over to the society, the society for some reason broke the compound wall, took the flora fauna out, and got the compound back close to the road. The thought process was कि ये तो land हमारी है, ये तो हमारे possession में होनी चाहिए, and you'll be surprised that when I visited the site a year later, because I was passing through the road, I felt so hurt. I really felt hurt, and that is the time when Mayank, I decided that I need to have a company which is a sister concern of Roseworld, which not only basically delivers the product. As a company, as Roseworld, we should not only deliver the product, but there has to be a sub-company of Roseworld which also maintains the product. So we came up with this concept of Eternia, which we launched.
So it's a facility management?
It's a facility management company, which is our own company.
Okay.
And we pay money to this company for almost 1 year or 1.5 years. And the product is ensured to look spick and span.
Right.
The product is ensured to look the way it looked in the brochure. Okay. And I strongly hope and I have a faith that after 1.5 years, when people start loving the product, which is so well maintained, they eventually then fall back to the same maintenance facility company, and then the product looks good all throughout.
You said something very spot on about maintaining. I keep telling people that let's assume the shelf life of a concrete structure, let's assume it's 70 years. For example, builder comes, builds everything, takes 5 years to build it, 4 years to build it, right? Now, if you look at a product life cycle of 70 years, right, that 5 odd years he's taken to build it, it's only 7%.
So true.
So people focus so much on that 7%. The actual 93% only depends on how you maintain it.
So true. So true.
So that should be given so much more importance.
Exactly.
The facility management,
Exactly.
You have to maintain, like people maintain their cars. I don't maintain. And I feel like a lot of this is a mistake societies make, according to me, is that they try to, once the developer exits, they will try to reduce the maintenance costs.
True.
I mean, I don't understand why you're living in homes worth crores, at least in cities, and they want to keep reducing the maintenance cost. I think.
So, Mayank, let me tell you, since I've gone through this process,
Right.
see, always it's not about the society or the committee which is to be blamed.
Right.
It's about them getting the right people to do the right things. And that's where Eternia comes in. So what we've done is that we have created this company which is almost going to give you service to the same cost.
Right.
At the cost which they are going to appoint somebody. Eventually, if society को clean रखना है, तो you need a sweeper.
Right.
If you need to ensure that the lights of the passages and corridors are well maintained, you need an electrician.
Right.
Now, the only thing is that does the cleaner do the job in the right way? Does he give water to the plants? Efficiency. So that is what we control. So a lot of times, I think the minute the society or the committee gets an instrument almost at the same price and doing a job efficiently, they 100% are going to opt it.
Yeah.
See, why would ever anybody wonder कि मेरी जगह ठीक maintain नहीं है?
Correct.
So again, as I told you, these are small things which, as developers, if we become more sensitive towards what people want, I think that is the place where people will start trusting us and looking at us as a as a faith profession, as a profession which is to be respected, which I told you,
Right.
So I think these are small things which I'll be repeating in this podcast,
please.
Which I think, somewhere I want to convey this to the fraternity that, it's time that we should be sensitive now.
Right.
Okay. It's time that we care about what happens to people after they shift.
Right.
It's time that we should be very, very understanding about the fact that if the project goes a little longer, what is the implication of the EMI on the person there? It's time that we should be sensitive about things like, just creating a product which eventually is going to be unmaintainable. Okay. It's time to be sensitive about the fact that, if you're not able to, give the square feet area which we cost into his habitable space, but waste it in passage, is going to hurt him at the weakest point, So I think with all these things which which you would understand, being a sensitive, a creative person, I think that's the place where I think we'll definitely start giving a different image to this profession.
Right. Do you have a favorite locality in Mumbai to develop projects? Do you have a favorite?
I think the answer comes the same, that, in Mumbai being a place, an island where, there's scarcity of space, the developer would rarely get a choice to select something like
Can't
that.
we
But
choose us? Yes.
yeah. But at the same time, again, as I told you, that I would always like to work in a place which has more flora and fauna. Okay, like places like Chembur, there are some localities, location is fantastic. It's amazing.
Very central, yes.
At the same time, locations like the Andheri Versova belt, where there are great flora fauna kind of spaces,
Right.
those are great areas, But again, as I told you, I don't think I would specifically mention a particular area. It can be the other way around, that I would like to go to that area and create flora fauna there.
Okay, not from a developer point of view. Normally, what pin code do you like the best in Bombay?
I think all the pin codes in the western suburb is, I think, what I would definitely go for.
Right.
And now with the connectivity of BKC to the Eastern Express, I think 4 to 5 kilometers on the right side and
Right.
left side, which is almost Chembur, Ghatkopar and all those. Those are going to be the favorites. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, congested city like Mumbai, developers have to be obsessed about FSI because the project will not be financially viable, of course. And the project has to be financially viable to even, so that everyone gets to see the building in the end, right?
Yeah.
But, just a controversial question. Because of that, do you think design, right, hardcore design, it's losing its value in Mumbai's real estate market, at least Mumbai's first home real estate market? Do you feel that's happening? Because people want to now, a lot of developers focus on key, Excel sheet should be good, feasibility report should be good, FSI is great, let's consume it, cookie cutter banate hai. Do you think that's a big issue?
So if you remember in past, there in the DCPR, which we had previously,
Right.
we were allowed things like flower beds.
Right.
We were allowed things like park terraces.
Right.
And basically the whole idea in that DCPR was
Right.
to ensure that great structures are created.
Correct.
And the pinch of FSI doesn't stay to the developer because they were free of FSI.
Right.
But then unfortunately some malpractices happened.
2012 mein they, I think,
Yes,
changed.
yes. So malpractices were so much that people used to create these flower beds
Right.
and sell it as carpet, and
Right.
and that was a dirty part of
Right.
what happened actually. And after that, fungible came in.
Right.
After fungible came in, each and everything which is basically going to be sold is counted.
Right.
Okay. Now, I think again, coming back to the topic of that intervention of a deep thought in design comes in. I think the blend can definitely be matched.
Right.
An FSI with efficient design thought process can give you not only the best possible usage out of FSI, but also a good looking building. Okay. So I feel that in whatever FSI you have, less, good, bad, whatever, I think creating a structure which is beautiful is a totally different aspect. And I think both can comfortably blend it together.
Right.
So I would not say that a developer has created a bad building because he had to consume FSI. I would say that he didn't have the vision to create a good building. That's why he created a bad building.
Understood. No, that makes sense. So what he could have done within the FSI, he didn't want to.
He didn't want to do it. Absolutely.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a good point. Now, do you have a favorite type of project?
So I have been
Or what type of buildings do you particularly like to design?
So I first of all am a big fan of community housing. Like I mean to say, I am a big fan of layouts basically.
Right.
Okay, because layout is a place where you can actually make people have amenities
Right.
which they really desire. Now
Right.
again, going back to the Zedan product, you'll be surprised in entire of Andheri, the gymnasium which we have given in our product is the biggest. Okay, now why could we give that? Because it's a 7-acre layout. Now, even if I desire and I do a small project, I won't be able to give this kind of gym or amenities to people.
Correct.
The podium which we have is almost a 2.5-acre podium. So, when
That's
you have...
huge, like close to
that's
a
huge.
lakh square feet.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
massive.
that's huge. That's huge. So, imagine that when you have a layout, that is a time where you get excited as a designer, and where you can really provide these amazing amenities to people, interactive spaces for people. So if you ask my personal favorite, rather than the location and locality, I would say the size of the product. Okay, so I would always prefer to have at least minimum 3 to 4 acres of land to develop, which is a very difficult thing. And I think that's the reason why, though a challenge, I think the SRA forum is the only place where we, get to
Right.
even think of these kind of land parcels.
Right.
It has its own challenges otherwise, no doubt about it. But I think after crossing those challenges, I think what comes to us can really be amazing, as a product.
Right. Right. What are some design mistakes, according to you, that new developers tend to make?
So, I think it's not a mistake again, okay? Or I would not quote in the new and old kind of theory, because I personally would be confused whom to place me into, either the old developer or the new developer, So I would say that things like ensuring that areas are not wasted in passages, things like unnecessary creating amenities which are never going to be used. Unnecessary creating a crown of a building which can never be maintained.
Right.
Okay, giving lesser capacities of MEP requirements like water tank and all
Right.
are the basic things. I think once done right, then it's all about the aesthetics.
Right.
And aesthetics is again a very subjective thing.
Do you have a useless amenity according to you? What amenity do you think according to you is useless in buildings?
So okay. So if you ask me, the more you give, the more is wanted. That's the theory of, so nowadays you'll see products and projects where they flaunt, that 42 amenities. Now in that 42 amenities, I've seen products where people have given a wall where people can climb. No,
Zabardasti bana diya amenity.
this is like,
Yeah.
it's something which, it's difficult for me to digest. भाई वो 42 तक आपको पहुंचना है, इसलिए आप वो एक wall पे you're putting some stickers and telling them you climb on this wall.
Right.
So
It's
it's
not
very
an
illogical.
amenity.
Yeah. So what I feel is, rather than wasting, don't have 42 amenities, have 10 of them.
Quality over quantity.
Quantity, and let that amenity could be like, for example, now we are introducing in all our projects ICU facility. So it's not an ICU, but a place where the people can get immediate relief. Again, I'm talking about bigger projects in our layouts which we are doing. Okay, so now this is an amenity which I think really is a value addition. There's so many old people that first 10 minutes of your emergency movement, and you get some relief there. That's the kind of amenity which I call amenity.
Right.
Okay, so I think if you ask me for silly amenities,
Just increasing the number in your brochure, but nobody's going to use it.
Yeah. So be honest with what you're going to give to people. People understand. See, people understand that whether the amenity makes sense or it is nonsense. So why do you want to give an opportunity to create an image like this that these are nonsense amenities?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So give amenities which are really going to value add. Okay, and make sense to the home buyers. That a lot of times it happens that people give these swimming pools in a affordable housing project.
When maintain, it's
Now
impossible.
it's not going to
then.
be maintained.
Yeah.
It's not going to be maintained. Okay, now he's paying maintenance for the swimming pool where he's never going to go.
Yeah.
So why are you going to give that amenity to him?
Correct.
Okay, rather than that, just replace that amenity with maybe a small, badminton court where his kids can come and play.
Correct.
And he feels that, ठीक है, you know, whatever money I'm paying, at least मेरा बच्चे जाके खेल रहे हैं.
Correct.
Create a simple, nice jogging track.
Correct.
Less expensive, but worth for his health.
Right.
Okay. So I think we have to be very, very cautious about making sense when we give amenities. Okay. They have to be amenities which are going to be genuinely used by the customers, and they have to be value for him.
And it depends on the project as well, right?
It depends on the project. Absolutely.
क्या देना
Absolutely.
चाहिए, right?
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of, a lot of redevelopments happen, right, in Bombay again. Let's get back to that. What are some mistakes that housing societies make when shortlisting a developer? I think this is something that all housing societies must really listen to.
Right, right. No, I think it's a very good question. So I feel that there are a couple of things I would definitely like to address to the societies which are right now trying and thinking about redevelopment. The first and foremost thing I very strongly feel that before approaching any developer, they have to connect with the PMC, which is a project management consultant. So what happens is that the minute a project management consultant comes on board, he
Right.
becomes a kind of shield
Right.
to ask a legit question to the developer.
Right.
Now this not only favors the society, but also favors the developer, because now the developer also gets somebody who's talking logics with him. Number
Right.
one. So the first piece of advice is to please appoint a good PMC. Number two, I think the process of choosing a developer should be a thorough, transparent process, which obviously once the PMC comes into action, he will do it.
Right.
And it should be a total transparent process. Okay. And
Right.
third and foremost is, I think it is time now that the developer and the society together, when they flaunt, when they submit a tender, okay, it's not only should be about the area.
Extra area.
Extra
कितना
area.
मिल रहा है?
Yeah. Extra area is not the only thing in the whole world which is
Correct.
going to top this choice process.
Absolutely agree with you.
Okay. It has to be the track record of the developer,
Right.
the projects which you have done previously, and I strongly feel the health of the organization in terms of finances, the track record, and the culture of the company.
Right.
Okay, because I've seen that people have given their projects in grid of 10 square feet extra, हमें दे रहा है, इनको दे देते हैं, and then the building never turns
पूरा
up.
building ही
Yeah, because it's not
gets
viable.
stuck.
It's not viable,
Correct.
because see, if the developer has to do justice to the product, he has to finish the product. If he gives you that extra area, he will obviously try to find some tricks to save that money
Correct.
in your construction, in liaisoning, which will unnecessarily
Absolutely.
get the timelines ahead. So I think it should not be only about how much area.
Right.
It should be about these three things which I told you. One is the track record, the culture of the company, and obviously the promoter also, I feel.
Right. No,
The
absolutely.
promoter also.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I think promoters set the culture of the company, right?
Absolutely.
And just to
And
follow.
one more point, very important point, as I told
Yeah.
you, that when you're unwell, you go to a doctor.
Right.
When you want to grow vegetables, you have to go to a farmer.
Right.
Okay. So whenever you want to create a building, try to find promoters who have technical knowledge about that field.
100%.
That's what I've been urging. And that's what is going to happen very soon. Mayank, you will see now. Most of these development organizations will have the
Like
top guys
professionals.
will be professionals. Yeah, and that's going to be the game changer. And because the minute a professional comes in, the thought process changes.
Right.
It's not only about creating the P&L. It's about creating a good product. It's creating a brand. It's creating good houses, good homes. Creating good infrastructures where people can live and be happy about.
Right.
So that's what advice I would like to give to the societies.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the strange demands? Like, I know societies will always ask ki which developer is giving more area, but do societies also tell you ki give us this amenity, this kind of tile, this kind of where do the demands start getting unrealistic according to you?
So I think again I would like to defend the society members,
Right.
Because most of the time their reference is from some friend of theirs whose society has been redeveloped. Okay, because see they have a limited knowledge about what happens when a developer comes in or what happens in the process of redevelopment.
Right.
I think it's a huge responsibility of the PMC, which I told you, to be a good navigator, to make them knowledgeable about what to ask and what to not ask.
Right.
You know, if a particular person and his friend has got an air condition fitted in his apartment by some developer, he asking the same thing to a developer, whereas his locality or the location is not going to be as price sensitive like the previous location, is going to definitely put off to the, you know, the kind of fiber between the developer and the society.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there has to be a good PMC who explains them, boss, this is what you can ask and this is what you can't ask, you know.
Right.
And as far as insane demands are concerned, I think the insanity comes from the reference from where they come. Okay, so I think it should not be looked into that space. It should be looked as a place where the PMC has to be conveyed that, boss, these demands are unreasonable.
Yes. And the PMC obviously understands that.
Yeah, and he can explain it in the right direction, you know, because a developer saying something like this becomes a little offensive.
Right.
Whereas a PMC explaining and aligning them is a better way to do it. And that's what we've been doing, you know, and people...
Much better.
Yes, and Mayank,
As a
let me
buffer.
tell you, people are... See, again, I'm telling you, don't take people for granted. Every person on the planet is sensible.
Right.
Just put sense in front of him. The minute you put nonsense in front of him,
Yes.
he's not going to be convinced. And it's going to be then, you know, a tug of war of thought process, of agreements, whatever. Yeah.
Right. So can you guide us through the entire journey of a real estate project in Mumbai? Let's talk about a redevelopment project.
Okay.
From A to Z, what all happens? What is your journey?
Okay, great. So ideally, what happens is that the first is the information. Whether a society wants to develop is an information
Right.
which comes to us through maybe three probabilities. One is through channel partners, second is through reference, or third is through a tender which
Right.
which is published in newspapers.
Right.
So in any of these three probabilities, when that information comes to us, we as developers have a team called BDO team, which is a
Right.
business development office. Now, our BDO approaches to this society, and we are introduced as developers who have done this kind of a track record is explained to the society. Now, once that is done, the society office issues us a tender if a tender has been made, or they call us for a presentation.
Right.
It works either ways. So the minute that happens, we obviously approach to the society physically with a presentation, or in case if it is a tender, we fill the tender and submit it. But we at our end have kept a principle that before even we submit a tender, our team goes and meets them and gives them a little bit about us wala connect, you know, so that they understand who we are, you know.
Right.
And in this process, what happens is that the ice is broken and the committee and the society starts knowing you as a developer personally. Okay. Once that is done, then there's a process of tender opening and tender in front of everybody. And that's the place where the society appoints us. Now, the society has different criteria in the tender, and which we discussed, you know, that
Right.
most of the time it is the area, the amenities and XYZ. So once through that tender, we are appointed, there's a general body which happens in the society, wherein we are giving the vote of a preferred developer. So once we get that vote of preferred developer, we are basically called upon for a more detailed presentation.
Right.
And that is the time when we give them a more detailed presentation. After the presentation, obviously, there are some suggestions from the society which we align with. We do a little bit of amendments. And then comes a stage where, you know, it's time for now an official engagement between us. Till this point, officially on paperwork, except for that preferred developer letter, there's nothing with us.
Right.
Okay. So now this is the point where the society knows that the developer is going to give us this kind of product. This is the developer, this is the background of the developer, and we have since already chosen him as a preferred developer. It is time to walk ahead with him now.
Right.
So that is the process when we now give a letter as developer to the registrar. And the registrar this time comes for the general body resolution, and there in video cameras, in present of a government personnel there,
Right.
who's a registrar, 79A is executed.
Right.
So 79A basically becomes the first official document in which the developer, the government and the society bind together.
Right.
And that is the point from where the journey actually starts. So post 79A, the next move is towards the development agreement.
Right.
So the gap in between 79A to DA is normally of around 30 days in normal cases. And in these 30 days, what happens is that we collect a lot of paperwork from the society. There are some flats which are sometimes in litigation. In some flats, there are property taxes not paid. So it depends on the individual,
Right.
the health of the society as far as paperwork is concerned. But we have seen that most of the time it takes around 3 months time, for the society to sort out all those issues.
Right.
And once that is done and the paperwork is sorted, then comes the point of DA, which is development
Right.
agreement. So an officially stamp duty is paid to the government and a proper development agreement is registered. The minute a DA is registered, that is the time where now we can approach to approval authorities.
Right.
Now these approval authorities now get into action, and then the plans which we have got approved from the tenants are submitted there. And there's a process of approval which all of us know through either the BMC,
Right.
or if it is an SRA, it's an SRA, or if it's redevelopment, again, there are different bodies which the competent authority basically is there for each different kind of redevelopments. So once the approval part is done, the approval which is given to us is then shared with the society, and the society is given intimation that within 30 days or 60 days, depending on whatever has been agreed in the DA,
Right.
the society is requested to vacate. But before that, obviously, they are given the rental checks.
Right.
So that, they are super secured. Now, during the DA, there are 4 to 5 very important things which the society already finalizes. One is the corpus fund, which
Right.
they are ought to get. Second is the rental. Third is the shifting charges.
Right.
And we also nowadays are very strongly putting this point that once approval comes, within 2 months' time, the society should be vacated so that the redevelopment can be expedited. Because at times what happens is that, there are so many personal things, some kids are into IB. तो हमारे बच्चों के एग्जाम्स अक्टूबर में कंप्लीट होंगे.
Break the building after that.
After that, हमारे बच्चे ICICI में तो उनके तो अगस्त में हो रहे हैं, तो जल्दी क्यों नहीं तोड़ रहे हो,
Correct.
So to avoid these kind of small, and see again, as I told you that,
To each his
these are
own,
practical
right.
things, okay.
Right.
But then we clear and iron out these things in the beginning itself with the DA. So in the DA, we are very clear with that point that, 2 months post approval, the building has to be vacated. And people do vacate it after that, obviously with rentals and all secure for 12 months, 24 months, depending on the DA. And then starts the process of actually breaking of the building, for which we have to go to the collector, take an NOC from him.
Right.
And then the building is obviously taken down, the debris is taken down. And then on the basis of the approval, we start our building. And then it's just a general thing that we construct the building. And after construction, we again go for the department OC. And once the OC is done, that is the time when we approach the society back.
Right.
And once the society comes back, there is a process of again registering the society, because now the society is not only about the old members.
Right.
It is also about the new members which have come in, So we have a segment of ours called Mackler, which we have of our own segment, which helps the society members to understand that how is this transition going to happen, how are the new members going to come, because the old members always have a fear that ये नए members आके dominate करेंगे, इन्होंने तो खरीद के आए हुए हैं, or it could be vice versa also.
Correct.
So those things are aligned by our team properly, so that the coexistence becomes smoother, and then it's a one society.
Right.
Okay, because eventually it's going to be one society. Obviously, everybody has to be aligned.
Right.
Also, what we do is at Roosevelt, through the process of construction, because that process is almost 2 years or 3 years, depending
Right.
on how big the tower is. We ensure that every month from Roosevelt, we send a small video about the progress of the work and progress of approvals also. Because I think that has given us great results, because people are very happy that when they understand,
Transparency and
very
trust.
transparent, yeah. Because so many people, once they shift, not necessarily they stay in Bombay, they maybe go to their respective Nasik or Nagpur, for whatever, for different reasons. So for them, it's so nice that every month they get a video, where they know the status of the work,
Correct.
And in fact, I met one lady in between, in a redevelopment society. So very, very sweet of her, she wrote a very small letter to me, that in this video, please send me video of that small plant, which is on the outside of my window, and it was so cute,
yeah.
And I ensured that, I told these guys, that wo video mein hamesha wo plant dikhaya kariye, And, so these are the small things we do take care of. So anyway, so coming back to the topic that once the OC is done, we call them and we hand over the society to the new set of members. And then in our case, Eternia comes into action.
Right.
So for the first 6
facility
months,
management
facility
arm
management
comes
comes into
into
action. So first 6 months, we never take money from the society. We pamper them. Okay. And then we request them that please allow us to pamper us further. But with these minimal charges, you're going to get this pamper ahead. And that's the way the journey is basically.
Right. Very, 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 very elaborate and very, I think
Yeah.
I think everyone watching would have probably understood everything. Just one point is like now from an individual member perspective, what would be some things that you would recommend individual members to have in the PAAA from an individual perspective?
So I think as far as an individual member is concerned, the most important thing he should check about is that when he's transiting, before he vacates his premises, he should have his checks with him
Okay.
for the rentals. Because, that is going to secure him his...
So all the advanced PDCs,
Yes.
all the post-dated checks.
Yes, all the post-dated checks should be definitely there in his possession, and most of the PAAA do have that point very strongly written.
Right.
At the same time, it is very, very important. In fact, I'm happy that you got this point out, that he has to check whether the approval has come or no. We follow a very, very strong discipline in our company that unless and until approvals don't come, we don't vacate societies. Because there have been incidences previously where developer, after the DA, vacates the society, he gives the rent.
Right.
People get the rent, people are happy to move out. But the story doesn't end there, because an approval is basically connected to a lot of things like government policies.
Right.
Suddenly a government policy might change and get approvals into some strands, So I strongly feel that nobody should ever vacate their premises unless they have all the rentals in their hand and all the approvals in place. And once these two things are in place, then it is time to proceed with the PAAA and then vacate the premises.
Right. Very well summarized.
Yes, thank you.
Now, people, I feel now it's become like a loose word to use is luxury. Everybody talks about luxury, spacious, luxury. No builder will say कि मेरा apartment luxurious नहीं है. Right?
Right.
So what is luxury according to you? Like, what is luxury?
I think it's a fantastic question, Mayank, and it has been really, I think, a word which has been, used.
Abused almost.
Abused.
Yeah.
I would say
Literally.
abused. Like every product you see, there's a word called luxury. There, So in fact, I got so fed up with the whole concept that, the meaning of luxury is no more luxury now.
Right.
Because you do anything and you call luxury. Doesn't make it luxury. In fact, we did dive deep into this, and we at Rosewold, we created a thought process that henceforth the products which are going to be extravagant product are going to be called Uber products. Okay, because that luxury name itself is confusing me also.
Yeah.
Okay.
क्या है?
Okay. So when you ask me what is the definition of an Uber product,
Right.
to our context, an Uber product means it is larger than your requirements. That's Uber for me. So for example, in a smart housing, your bedroom is a place where you keep your bed and your cupboard. But when it comes to Uber, your bedroom is a space where you have a separate space where your only bed is there. You have a separate huge space where your walk-in is there. You have a separate space where you have your bathing areas. You have a separate balcony there. And also you have a nice separate study space if required.
So the bedroom is in itself like a mini house. Like
Absolutely. And I'm not only talking about the bedroom here. When it comes to the kitchen, it's not only going to be a rectangular piece, which is, bigger in size compared to the other product. It's got to have a nice big dry balcony. It has to be accessible by the servants from out and out, so that servants don't travel through the house to come inside. The kitchen not only should work on a triangular formula of the sink, the burners and the electronic equity. It has to be a concept of open kitchen.
Right.
Where it is time that, the living room and the kitchen merges together, and it has to be not necessarily confined to a size of 100 square feet or whatever, it has to be, when it's Uber, it has to be a 200 square feet of kitchen, or 250 square feet of kitchen, where kitchen itself should have a nice small dining space, So when you start redefining the abundance of a space, when you start redefining the function over abundance, that is the time when I think you should call your product a Uber product. Right. We are now launching this product. We already have launched one product called Zion in Andheri, which I just mentioned some time back. You look at the sizes which you have given there. We are coming up with a very, very top class product in Warsaw, where we are talking about balconies which are almost 400 square feet,
That is massive.
overlooking the sea.
That's an apartment.
It's an
400 square
apartment.
foot is like an apartment.
Absolutely.
In
So
Bombay.
when you say that, it means we are talking about abundance, and that's what should come. And then you line up your product like an Uber product.
I understand.
Okay. So again, as I said, like 42 amenities. That 42 amenities should make sense.
Correct.
So similarly, when you talk about a luxury product or a Uber product, the product has to make abundance sense. Only then we are talking about an
That
Uber product.
truly is luxury.
Yeah.
Abundance.
Yeah. So coming back to the Warsaw product, the lift lobby where the flats are going to be accessed. Okay. There's one flat on that lobby. That lift lobby itself is around 400 square feet. So imagine
Right.
if you are coming out of a lift and you have a beautiful 400 square feet space, and then you're going to your door with nobody around, only one flat.
Correct.
That's abundance.
That is abundance.
That's Uber.
That's 100% abundance.
Now you say that lift se bahar aa gaya.
8 flats per floor.
8 flats per floor.
Luxury.
and luxury de raha to ye, what sense it makes,
No, no. Well put. Abundance.
Abundance is the word. I think luxury, with so much of luxury everywhere, should be redundant. It's no more the meaning of the word which has been well taken by the industry. Let's call it Uber, and Uber means abundance. Abundance in space, heights.
Right.
The Warsaw product, again, we are saying we are going for 14.5 feet height.
14 and a half.
14.5. It's not 13 also.
14 and a half feet height.
Absolutely. And this is the exact expression I
That's
want.
the first time I've heard that.
So this is the exact expression which should happen when you talk about an Uber product.
It's like an industrial estate height. 14,
Absolutely.
that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So the house.
So
will
for the
look
penthouses, we
so
are giving
much-
14.5.
My
And
God.
for the flats which are almost around 3,000 square feet flats, we are giving around 13 feet height.
I thought I heard wrong. I'm like, genuinely, 14 and a half feet is genuinely
Yes.
phenomenal.
For the penthouses, we are giving that
The
height.
entire house will also look so big because then you're talking volume more than just the area, right? 'Cause,
Yes.
with the height as well. Phenomenal.
Yes,
14 and a half feet
yeah.
is huge.
Yeah. So that's luxury. That's luxury.
That is abundance.
That's
yeah.
abundance. Absolutely. So whenever you please, I think, make it a definition that whenever you're talking about a Uber product, especially by Rosewold, we think about abundance.
What
It has
is the
to,
useful extra thing that
yeah, because see, your life has now traveled beyond that basic necessity chahiye wala phase.
correct?
Now you're looking at something beyond that. So what is beyond that? That's abundance, right?
Right.
So let's connect with abundance to the Uber product.
Right. A couple of questions ago, you had spoken of SRA.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about the challenges of an SRA? For those who don't know, it's a slum rehabilitation project. But in an SRA project, what are the actual practical challenges on the ground? Because you're experienced with that, region of, rather you're experienced with that belt of real estate, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell me the challenges of SRA?
Right. So if you see the inception of this SRA, Balasaheb Thackeray was the one who actually came up with the concept.
Right.
So sometimes when you disrupt yourself from the roots of the thought for which an idea was created, the problem starts there. SRA was basically created to ensure that the people from slum get a good house. They get a house which is approved by the government, wherein their kids can stay, have a great future, have electricity, have their own toilets. And the rest of the spaces was given to the developers to ensure that the sale component is done, to ensure that the scheme is made financially viable. Now, over a period, what happens is that thought goes out. And entirely what is in it for me comes in towards the developer side. And I think that is where the problem starts. So all kind of slum schemes which we did as developers, we ensured that we have been very honest with the tenants whom we vacated. And that's why you see our track record that we have zero complaints in any of our products.
Right.
Because, there have been extent where we have given our sale component to people where disputes were there.
Right.
Okay. So as far as SRA is concerned, I understand, that definitely the the entire thought is not easy in a city of Mumbai. Imagine when you are having 900,000 tenants and you want to vacate them.
Right.
It is so difficult.
Absolutely.
It is, I would say, 100 times difficult than a redevelopment, where people
For
are
sure.
all on one page, they have a committee whom they listen to. But SRA is again different science. But the minute you start understanding that, boss, the person who's there, he just wants a good house in time, the game changes there. Okay. Now, I think there's a very regular thing in the market that SRA licensing approval is a big headache. I totally don't correlate with this thought process. I think once you start getting your head very clear that each and every person there has to be housed. If he is not eligible for the government house, he has to be given house in sales. Things become much simpler, and then approvals become simpler because litigations go down,
Right.
and the path is much simpler for you. Okay, so definitely there are challenges, no doubt about it. I won't say it's a piece of cakewalk, but I think the minute you start getting into a space where you're more focused on resolving the problem rather than taking the bigger pie of the product, I think that is where the game changes.
Understood.
So give justice to them, they will help you to go faster. You try to take the biggest pie by not giving them the houses, and you're going to fall in trouble.
Backfire.
Yeah. So I think that is a huge important thing which I told coming back, that the person who created this concept was to house them.
Right. Visionary leader. I mean,
Visionary
great,
leader.
Great, fantastic leader.
Yeah.
At times.
And imagine if you're getting out of that vision and you're trying to create only business there, then definitely you're going to land up in trouble.
Right.
Okay.
What are some bad practices that like you said, shortchanging the tenants? What are some, you don't have to name anyone, but like, what are some of the bad practices that builders have, made in SRA projects, which has kind of diluted this?
So I think it's more about ignorance from the developer side also. Because most of the time what happens is that the developer never goes to the departments. His architect goes to the department. And I think that miscommunication between the architect and the developer or the licensing person, whoever is there taking up the department, is itself becomes a huge area of problem. Most of the times I think the developer has a limited knowledge about whether the things are going in the right direction or the wrong direction.
Right.
Okay. So I feel that most of the time where in earlier cases, SRAs, you must have heard that there are, newses where government houses were siphoned off and they were sold out.
Right.
Now that's absolutely unacceptable.
Right.
Okay. But if you see 80% of the times, it happens that the developers, are not knowledgeable about the fact that, this particular thing should not have been done or should have been done. Okay. So I think it's very important that people get educated in this science. Okay. I myself have spent almost 15 to 16 years of my career into licensing of these areas,
Right.
So I have very detailed knowledge about what should be done, what not should be done.
Right.
Okay. And I think once you get into that knowledge and you are very clean with your thought process that I don't want to do anything wrong, then I don't think there is anything which ideally, can come as a surprise to you, to stall the product.
Do you think developers can improve the quality of the rehab buildings in SRA projects?
So, Mayank, recently we took over a project in Chembur, and the product was basically with some other developer, and we took it over basically. 13 years the developer struggled. Good developer with good intent, but again, as I told you, not the master of this SRA
Right.
concept, So when we went in, the first call I took is that the rehab building was half constructed. In 1 week, we mobilized 130 laborers in that society, in that rehab building. And we ensured that in the coming 2 months, the building was almost, looking like a war zone. Now, the minute we did that, the people from the society suddenly got change of emotions there.
You
They
got
supported
more
us. More support. More, the aura changes.
Correct.
And you'll be surprised that within 4 months, we launched our sale building. Now, this is exactly what I was trying to tell you when I started my conversation in SRA. That if you take care of the existing residents there, and if you ensure that they are well taken care of, that is the only thing they want. And if you try to hide away from that aspect, obviously, it's going to be a difficult path for you. Also, one very, very important thing as I talk to you, I just would like to mention that the reason we at Roosevelt take bigger layouts in SRA is because it becomes very easy for us to have two separate plots for the two buildings.
Understood.
So what happens that it's a cohabitat kind of thing, but totally separate at the same time.
Right.
Okay. So most of the time what happens is that if the plot is very small, the SRA buildings comes very close to the sale building.
Right.
Okay, and it could be an area of concern for people, who are buying the flats, or even the existing tenants also to a certain extent. So that's why I always prefer that when we go for SRA, we go for bigger layouts. Like for example, Zedan is a layout of 7 acre.
Right. That's massive.
Massive, yeah. So we have 3 DP roads. On the other side of the road, the rehabs are done,
Right.
and on the other side, of course, the sale are done. But it's wonderful and it works amazing for both of them.
Right.
Okay, so that's one thing I would definitely like to elaborate, that like in redevelopment, cluster should be promoted. In SRA, bigger layout should be promoted.
Right. Right. Do you think Mumbai will ever be slum free?
100%. 100%.
And by when do you think it will happen?
I think that if we have 10 to 15 developers with an intent of giving justice to the existing residents there, the government is ready to help. Because I have gone through the process and I have seen the CEO SRA, the Chief Minister, who's himself the chairman, are working really hard to promote the sincere lot of developers. And I think with this kind of government support, if your intent is correct, Mumbai has to be slum free.
Right.
So I would say that my take is that by 2038 to 2040, we can comfortably look at a city of Mumbai which is slum free.
Let's all hope we achieve that.
Yes.
With the support of the government as well.
Yeah.
Now, coming to real estate licensing, right? I mean, you've done it. The ins and outs. Is real estate licensing in Mumbai dirty? Because see, the layman feels that DCPR कुछ नहीं है, right? It's जुगाड़ से कुछ भी file कहीं भी पहुँच के you can clear. You can get any permission in real estate if you have the money, right? Rules, regulations don't matter. My question to you is, how dirty can real estate licensing get in Mumbai especially?
Right. So I think this question would have been, this question rather could have had a shady answer if you would have asked this to me before tech is introduced into the licensing spaces. I don't know whether a lot of people are aware of this, that everything in BMC or SRA is now tech-based.
Right.
Each and every file is uploaded. It is available in the public domain.
Right.
How much FSI has been given is available in the public domain.
Right.
Now, where is it possible now to do any probable thing which is not going to be seen by everybody in the world?
Right.
So now the process has become very transparent. So please, let's not have this notion that you pay money and you get extra FSI. You pay money and then, you get to do whatever you want to do. What used to happen previously is that since the products were not documented, okay, if a particular permission needs 10 compliances, and if you have good relation or a political will, आपका वही काम 8 compliances में हो जाता था, and जो 2 conditions है वो आगे डाली जाती थी.
Right.
But now even that is not possible, because unless and until you give those 10 things, your next approval का button ही नहीं दबता. And I would definitely give it to the tech involvement, which the current Chief Minister, the CEO SRA, the Municipal Commissioner have taken huge initiatives, because eventually they also want to streamline it.
Right.
And the tool they were looking at has now happened with the blessings of the technology, the AI and everything,
Right.
So gone are the days where, you just flex your money power, you flex your political power, and you get
Absolutely.
whatever you want, gone are the days. It is
streamlined.
absolutely streamlined. Every paper and piece of information you want is available on the portal of that particular site.
Right.
And tell me, Mayank, why would a developer do all these nonsensical, theatrical things, when so much money is at stake, and if you do something wrong which is in the public domain, and one guy who would put RTA and can put you in trouble,
Finished.
then why would you do it?
Yeah.
You know? So let's get out of this concept.
Absolutely.
You know? Again, this taint is purely come because of the fact that people look at real estate and the developer as a dangerous man. Wherein that is a statement I want to make, that we at Roosevelt want to change this image from a dangerous man to a desirable man.
Good one. That's
Yeah.
dangerous to desirable.
Absolutely.
You know, like how iBankers are, you know, investment
Absolutely.
bankers, the
Yes.
finance guys, that's
Yes.
looked upon as so like,
Yes.
but there's obviously like a lot of money in real estate too. And I don't know why it is, and you're absolutely right? A lot of people do think of builders as dangerous.
Absolutely. And I think this image will change. You know, like
Yeah.
for like the example I gave you, you know, the lady had a passage to write a letter to me कि वो जो plant मेरे घर के बाहर लगा है ना,
Very
उसका
cute.
photo भी please update करिए. You know, so the minute she could connect to my core team and to me,
Right.
it means that no more am I a kind of developer, okay, who's unapproachable,
Right.
whom people can share sentiments with,
Right.
okay, whom after giving the house, okay, is still answerable, you know. And I think these are small things I think each of us, you know, would contribute and eventually give us a saint, I wouldn't say a saintly image, but a clean image to the profession, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So if you ask me that, how would you like to be remembered? Okay, towards the end of my career or to the point when, you know, the next generation takes over. So I would like my image and the image of the company to be image of sophisticated and gentleman developers. Okay, whom we can trust, who didn't promise too much but did deliver what they promised.
And who are very passionate.
And
about
passionate. Absolutely. See, without passion, nothing is going to happen, you know. Unless you're passionate, that you'll be surprised, Mayank, that sometimes I personally go and meet the top authorities because I want the crown of the building to look in a different way. You know, and I've been always fortunately successful to get the designs which we create approved.
Right.
Okay. There the intent is not to increase the FSI. The intent is purely to make the product look good. Okay. And the minute you get your time, you put that as a priority, it means you're passionate about it.
Right.
Okay. So that's how it should be.
No, I can see the passion pouring out, and you know, I hope you achieve whatever you want to achieve, and I'm
Yes.
sure there's lots you want to achieve. You know, I want to get to this point. I think we are in almost monsoons have approached.
Yeah.
Right, Mumbai rains are beautiful. Right, I think Mumbai rains are absolutely beautiful, but as beautiful as they are, they can also be deadly and dangerous because flooding does happen in Mumbai.
Yes.
Right, certain areas are low lying, so flooding hota hai. Right, what is your take? Right, from an urban planning perspective, why does Mumbai always get flooded? Like, and how can we kind of eventually stop this?
I think you should give this question to Malishka. She's the one I think who creates these songs, and you know, she'll answer this question better
Right.
to you. So coming back to this point of congestion and you know, city being really flooded with water, I think as I told you that Mumbai was a city which had population and later it was planned.
Right.
Okay, so we did discuss about two type of cities,
Right.
you know. So definitely there has been errors, okay, which were rectified later. And I would not call them errors because the population increased in such a huge speed that by the time the infra was developed, the population was already grown. Okay. And I think the BMC and the government authorities are really doing great job now. Okay. And especially they have shown their strength now by creating the coastal highway, by creating the aqua lines, that they are definitely now going to use a lot of technology.
Right.
And they're going to create huge wonders below the ground. So in fact, I was talking to one very senior person in BMC, and he was telling me that currently there's a huge thought which is given that how can this water which is getting clogged right now in the city can be pushed out towards the seaside through underground water channels, you know. And I don't think that with the fact that these guys have successfully done the metros, okay, this is going to be a very far off dream. Okay. Now, as far as a developer and my contribution towards this whole thing is that I always ensure that whenever we launch a product at a particular place, the sewer lines which are there right outside the compound are also taken care by us. Okay, we do pay our infrastructure charges and all that, but the responsibility doesn't end there, you know. So I think if each and every new development at least starts working towards it,
Right.
the local problem of water being clogged, you know, at different area will definitely be solved, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and I think we should give a little patient time to this new governance because they are already working on it.
I mean, Mumbai infra is already changing, right?
Absolutely,
With,
absolutely.
पूरा, I think
You see the coastal
map
road, you
बदल
know,
गया है
yeah,
Mumbai
yeah,
का,
yeah. It's
like
so much
literally.
pleasure, you know. I just go for drive nowadays there,
Yeah.
just to feel it, you know, just to have that kick, you know, that what can I
Literally.
contribute to this
Literally.
kind of space.
From your east, your Atal Setu to your,
Oh, it's
your west
beautiful.
side.
Yes,
Now the
yes,
metro's
yes.
coming up. I think in 10 years, Mumbai will be totally different.
Different, absolutely.
Totally different. Now, what is this one government policy that you would implement to make Indian real estate better? Or let's not even talk about Indian real estate, to make Mumbai real estate better. One government policy to make Mumbai real estate better, according to you.
Wow. So are you going to make me a chief
Policy.
minister one day?
I hope so.
One day chief minister. Okay.
Yes.
So if I am given the opportunity to do so, okay, I think the one thing which I would strongly implement is to have a minimum cumulative layout of not less than 2 acre when it comes to new development. Because again, coming back to the point which I did convey before, that cluster housing and big SRA pockets should be promoted by giving maybe less premium charges to the developers who go for the big layouts.
Right.
Okay, by promoting, by, you know, somehow creating feasibilities which draw them to go for the bigger daring, you know.
Right.
Because only if we have layouts in the city are people going to get a lifestyle. If we try and allow them to work only on smaller pockets, we are only increasing the burden on that small plot.
Absolutely.
And we are creating a vertical element which is just an extension of the existing element.
Right.
Okay. So if I am made the policy maker, I would make it a huge beneficial policy to people who go for bigger layouts, you know, and I would promote them. That,
More
you know,
emphasis on cluster redevelopment.
bigger SRA pockets, you know.
Right.
So even if there are smaller things which are there, they should be brought into one planning thought process.
Right.
Where, you know, the areas for landscape should be defined, amenity should be defined, you know. So end of the day, only then the city is going to look good.
Right.
Small developments are not going to make the city look good.
Right.
You know, so it's going to in fact get more clustered. It is going to maybe, you know, allow the residents also to have lesser amenities. It would probably land up them living into heights but having a window right in front of their eyes, you know.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't make sense there. So that's one policy, if I'm allowed, you know.
That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Now, you know, Vastu is something that's very sensitive to Indians, right? And I do understand there's a scientific, you know, Vastu is scientific, right? But when does it stop becoming scientific and sort of becoming, you know, start becoming, you know, almost religious? And does that kind of hinder your designing? So have you ever had a conflict between Vastu and designing? From a design, you might feel like, okay, ye design ke liye, this is the right scientific approach.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody's Guruji is saying that, no, this is not right as per Vastu. So how do you solve that conflict?
Yeah. So first of all, before I comment, let me tell you, I'm a big follower of Vastu. You know, I myself have studied Vastu. I do ensure that all my layouts are as per Vastu. Now, while I say that, I would also make a statement that there is a very thin line between faith and blind faith. Now, let me tell you a very small example. You know, there was a diamond merchant who bought a flat from us. It was a big flat, you know, and his Guruji came and he said that, you know, Vastu में तो दोष है, पर टाइल के नीचे आप अगर गोबर लगाएंगे तो आपका वास्तु ठीक हो जाएगा.
My God.
And you know, when I understood that information from my site engineer, I could not hold me laughing, you know.
And I hope they did not do it, but Guruji ने बोला तो डालना ही पड़ेगा.
डालना पड़ेगा type, you know. So again, coming back, you know, faith and blind faith.
Right.
Okay. Now a lot of people blindly say that, you know, south direction का flat मैं नहीं लूँगा. But Mayank, let me tell you, any Vastu is divided into 81 padas.
Right.
And on the south side, the S4 pada is one of the best entrance. So if a guy is having a flat which is south facing, but he's entering from S4, and there's another guy who's entering from east west or north, whichever direction, but from a wrong pada, then his flat is going to be much better than the other flat. So again, it's about you diving a little deep into understanding the science to a little more deeper version.
Right. ऐसा नहीं कि blanket or south is negative.
Exactly. So when we design our apartments or we design our buildings, we ensure that in a city like Mumbai, it's absolutely impossible कि हमारे सारे entrances north या east में हो. But then since we know that not all the south and west entrances are bad, we ensure that at least the pada from which they enter the house is the best pada for them to enter and prosper. Okay. So I think Vastu with deep knowledge can definitely help to create a building which is not only design oriented, at the same time Vastu is fully compliant.
Right. Now, from an architectural point of view, purely from an architectural point of view, I'm sure you've traveled, throughout the world. What city, according to you, is the best in the world from an architectural point of view, or a city that you really like going to for its architecture?
Okay. So see, I would definitely, like, my favorite as an architect, if you ask me, then I would say that city like Barcelona, Spain,
Beautiful.
they're really beautiful cities.
Right.
Now, the reason I like them is because, see, I am a big fan of Antonio Gaudi, and his
yes.
works are there, so maybe
Fantastic.
that's the reason why, my inclination toward those cities are there. But those cities have a fantastic mixture of romance,
Right.
and living full of life kind of spaces,
Right.
so there are beautiful spaces which are there all throughout city, but again, if I try to compare and I try to imagine Mumbai becoming like that, it's a dream which is not even going to happen, because
Right.
because the culture there is a little different.
Right.
The geography there is different. Okay, if you ask me, by twisting the question a little bit, that how would you like to see Mumbai as?
Right.
Then in that context, I would answer that I would definitely like Mumbai to look like Singapore.
Right.
Because, that is a city which is almost close to like us, with so much of water
Also,
bodies.
they also had a lot of slums historically,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Singapore also had a lot of slums, So what they eventually did is that they got all the slums into one place, and then they, vacated all the land, and,
Right.
But see, now again, we are a democratic country, let's not expect
Right.
those kind of liberties. But in whatever space we have right now, I think if you go through the sea link now, and you look on the left, Mumbai has almost started looking like a Singapore now.
Yeah. Beautiful skyline.
And with now the coastal road spanning from the south of Mumbai to north, all the developments which are going to happen in Warsaw, Andheri, that belt, are also going to add on to that scape of Singapore, And also one thing I like, obviously, about Singapore is the flora and fauna, Even below the bridges, if you see,
Right.
they have these beautiful plantations done, So the bridges ke niche ka area is not encroached, But it has beautiful trees,
Right.
And they also become like a breathing passage, So much of oxygen there, So I think these are the things which I think if are induced in city like Mumbai,
Right.
it will definitely take it to a different
Now
level.
speaking of Mumbai and Mumbai real estate, what is one thing that you really love about Mumbai real estate, and one thing that you hate about real estate? You have to tell me both. Love and hate.
Okay, great. So let me talk about the hate part.
Right.
Okay, I think the have you seen this movie called Gladiator?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So I feel that a developer in Mumbai, I think the question is oriented to a developer, right?
Right, for a developer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think the life of a developer in Mumbai, like the life of a gladiator, he gets into that Colosseum space in between, and he just doesn't know that which cage is going to open, and whether a tiger is going to come out of it or a lion is going to come out of it. And he's ready to fight it out. He
Right.
fights it, and in the evening he goes back hurt,
Right.
bruised.
Right.
Okay, totally off passion, I'm sure. And then he's back. He's fed well at the night, and he's back
Right. Back in
for
the same-
morning. same tussle. So I think that is the uncertainty of the business which I would hate if I have to make a statement that what do I hate. Now in this case, when I say a tiger, the tiger in this context means maybe some kind of policy which has been changed by the government. Okay, obviously the government has thought about it, but the project was not planned for this policy when it was planned.
There's a sudden policy change. What do
Sudden
you do?
policy change which happened. Okay. Second, a surprise could be raise in rate of interest of the finance which we raise.
Right.
So these uncertainty are things which I think I would hate in
You don't know what is coming out of that cage.
Yes, what is going to come out of that cage? So if things are made standard, like for example, if it's certain, yes, that if the project has started, the finance has to be taken at this rate. The government policies, if it has started, then till the end, this is going to be the policy for them.
Right.
It can be a midway change. So if that is done, I think we will be at much peace of mind. Because we know that we have tackled that tiger in the cage.
Right.
Okay. And as far as what I love about this, I think, Mayank, let me tell you that I always tell my team members that, guys, we are in a profession where we are going to create these beautiful monuments. And also when we are not going to be a part of this world, our monuments are going to be there.
Right.
Which professions have the liberty to do that? So if you imagine a Taj Mahal when it was made, people still look at it,
So
people
many,
still admire.
Absolutely.
So in our living time, in our lifetime, God has given us an opportunity to be in a field where you can create these monuments.
What is that, speaking of monument, what is that one thing you want to build before you retire?
Okay, so wow, what a question now. It really puts energy in me. So I have two things which I really, aspire. Even as a student of architecture, that thought is still in my mind, and I'll ensure that I'll do it. So let's bifurcate this into two parts, one for personal and one for the social part. So in social part, I want to create a museum like Gagganam.
Right.
By Frank Lloyd Wright, It's a
Right.
beautiful museum, and I think the city needs a museum like that,
Right.
So
what is so special, if you could just educate us?
So I basically like Frank Lloyd Wright as an architect,
Right.
And he has this gallery of art called Gagganam, where these spiral kind of looking structure, where you can enjoy the art work there, Like we have only Jahangir right now with us.
Right.
And there's no other library which really makes an impression,
Right.
So I would like to create something like that, either to the western suburb or the eastern suburb, because there's no art which is seen there right now.
Right.
Okay. And towards personal side, there's a beautiful structure called Falling Water, which I've been a fan all throughout my life. So whenever I make my bungalow, maybe, somewhere out of the city, I would like to create a falling water there.
Right. And how exactly does this falling water work? What is...
So Falling Water is a very beautiful house designed by architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And
Right.
the house basically had a challenge that there was a river. And the bungalow basically is cantilevered on that river. So people who stay, the owners who stay there, imagine a feeling that, there's a river flowing below your house and it's beautiful. And I visited the place and it's awesome.
Very,
it's awesome.
very, very interesting. Now, I've had a great time. Very, very insightful session. And, it's always great to see architects become developers, get more control, fantastic. What I really liked, I think I could see the passion in you. You almost have this OCD, this obsessive compulsive disorder.
Absolutely, you got it.
But you know what I mean with the product. Like, I think
yeah.
after selling something, I don't think anyone goes back and spends more on that, right? So I think kudos to you. I hope you get all the success in the world with your passion.
Thank you so much.
Just one last question before we sign out is, what is the one word of advice that you like to give new developers or someone who wants to become a developer?
Okay, great. So my take on this is very simple. Inculcate two things in an organization. One is passion to create a very, very sincere and honest product. And second is to create an honest culture in your organization. A culture which is sensitive about your clientele. I think with these two things inculcated in a company, the output is going to be definitely a great brand, which is creating great homes.
Right.
So that's, I think, the two things which I would definitely like to be put on the board, even when you start any business, not only real estate, passion and culture.
Right.
With these two things hand on hand, you're
Anything is
obviously,
solvable.
everything is solvable and you're bound to create a brand.
Right.
Okay. A brand on which people can trust, a brand which will be honest, and a brand which will keep on delivering every time on time.
Right.
And that's what Rosewort is about. We are always on time, every time.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being part of this show.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you so much for being with us, spending so much time with us. I've been seeing you, I've been following you, and I'm glad that you're here today. And I'm sure for many more years, as we walk ahead in this journey,
Absolutely.
we will be encountering each other and with
100%.
amazing
Pleasure
time
is all
together.
mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank